Well, KPMG has released its global survey, and India has emerged as the most preferred geography for investments among CEOs polled across the world. Not just that, Indian CEOs are also the most optimistic of the lot. To take us through the findings of the KPMG CEO survey, joining me now is John Veihmeyer, the global chairman at KPMG. Mr. Veihmeyer, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you what your survey bears out, that India is the top growth geography with 38% of those CEOs that you polled believing so. China follows at 34%, and CEOs are most optimistic in India. What you're seeing on the ground, what gives you, or what is giving business leaders the confidence about India today?
Well, it's great to be back with you and to see you again, Shereen. Thank you for having me on. And I think the confidence levels that you're seeing from the India-based CEOs are frankly consistent with increased optimism and confidence that we're seeing from CEOs around the world. This is an annual survey we do of over 1,300 CEOs in 10 different countries, and the confidence levels in the growth that these CEOs anticipate in their companies, in the global economy, and frankly their local economies have all increased since the survey that we did last year. So I think the trend of increased confidence we're seeing everywhere. As you point out, even greater optimism among the Indian CEOs. And I think that's reflective, frankly, of the vitality and the innovation that's taking place here in India that spurs a lot of that confidence on the part of the local leaders here.
But Mr. Veihmeyer, do you worry about the fact that perhaps CEOs are not fully factoring in political risks? I mean, look at what's happened currently with the Brexit vote, which has only added to the uncertainty that the global economy is also faced with. And there are pockets of tension, or other pockets of tension and political risk that we are going to have to factor in. Do you believe that maybe a couple of months down the line, as we fully come to understand the implications of what this means as far as the EU is concerned, the optimism or the confidence could look very different?
Well, certainly there are geopolitical factors taking place, including Brexit, that are adding risk and uncertainty to the outlook for CEOs. But frankly, there are a lot of risks on the minds of CEOs. We asked the CEOs in the survey specifically, what are the primary risks and concerns that you're worried about? This year, the #1 risk on that list was cyber risk, which is not surprising on the one hand, but frankly, it wasn't in their top 5 risks identified a year ago. Followed by regulation and technology. Geopolitical is on that list of top 5 risks, and I think it's very real. And right now there's tremendous uncertainty, more than there are answers to questions about how Brexit will affect a number of sectors, certainly a number of countries in terms of the kinds of bilateral relationships they had with the UK and with the EU. So there are many unanswered questions, and I think over the next several months, and frankly, several years probably, as some of these questions get clearer, I think different industries, different sectors, and different countries doing business in the EU will have a much clearer picture of what it's going to mean for them. So, yes, uncertainty is always something that depresses economic growth. I think Brexit introduces new and additional uncertainty. So from that standpoint, it's certainly not a positive as you look at the global economic outlook.
Mr. Veihmeyer, let me also ask you about what the outlook is as far as top-line growth is concerned. I understand that the survey says 48% expect the annual top-line growth of between 2 to 5% for 3 years. How does this compare with the survey from last year? And do you believe that there is a downside risk to this projection?
No, I think that the answer to that question that you just alluded to does show a positive increase over the prior year in terms of both the percentage of CEOs who are expecting growth in their company and in their top line over the next 3 years. Frankly, over 20% of the CEOs in our survey are projecting growth of greater than 5%. And those are answers and confidence levels which are higher than the prior year's survey. So again, I think what we saw in this year's survey results is a very consistent theme of increased confidence in almost every area of the survey where we were asking CEOs.